So there's a misconception that if you're single, you are incomplete, perhaps damaged, salvaged, and you won't be happy until you find your one. And that is not true. That is bullshit. It is a message that has been fed to us by media and advertising. The truth is, when you're single, you have the richest soil for growth. That's why I created this podcast. And unlike other podcasts, this one is host-driven, not guest-driven. That means I will be rotating health and wellness experts 3 times a week to give you the giant box of wellness crayons, not just the primary colors, so you can start building a meaningful life. It's time to give singlehood a cape. I'm super excited to have a meditation and mindfulness coach as part of our collective. This is a practice that, especially if you're single, you should be working on, for the rest of your life, but it's going to help so much if you decide to get into a relationship. Amy Brown is a meditation teacher and certified mindfulness and life coach specializing in relationships. She works globally with individuals who are going through or have been through a breakup or divorce and want to navigate the process in respectful, mindful, and in a conscious way so that they can heal, move forward on to new, healthier relationships, and ultimately thrive. Her background is in psychology, communications, meditation, mindfulness, and Pilates. She has taught and coached in physical and mental wellness for over 20 years. And Amy can be found at amybrown.online or on IG at amybrownonline. Enjoy, Amy Brown.
Thank you for joining me and for sharing this time listening to this podcast. I'm going to chat about some of the myths or misconceptions around relationships and breakups that are pervasive in our world right now, and hopefully dispel some of them, at least from a mindfulness perspective. I know that part of the mission of this amazing podcast series, Single on Purpose, is to help bust some of these myths. So the first pervasive myth that I want to talk about is the messaging that relationships are good and breakups are bad. Being in a couple is healthy and being single or alone is sad. If you get married, you stay married forever, even if the relationship is toxic, because divorce is shameful. If you think about it, when someone announces that they're dating or engaged or getting married, the response is, congratulations. The engagement, you throw a party, a wedding, is a big celebration. There's gifts. People get dressed up. It's a big deal. Versus if you announce that you are breaking up or splitting or exiting a relationship, the response is generally, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's the same response as if someone had passed or someone had died. I'm so sorry. So even the languaging that we use, the failing of a relationship or the relationship didn't work out. Now, from a mindfulness perspective, the relationship worked. It just didn't last forever or it just didn't go as you'd planned. But that should be okay because life rarely goes as we plan or as we expect it to. Relationships are both good and bad. Being alone is both good and bad. As humans, we're wired for connection. Yes. As mammals, we're stronger if we're in a pack. Yes. But unhealthy relationships lead to unhealthy people and unhealthy modeling for kids. A lot of people stay in a relationship that's unhealthy or even toxic or physically or mentally, emotionally abusive because they're scared of being alone, scared of going against cultural norms, religious norms, scared of going against their family, of being shamed, losing their home, losing their friends, scared of losing their identity. Or some people stay in relationships for the kids. But if parents, even if they're not outwardly arguing in front of their kids, if parents aren't displaying love towards each other, if they've lost respect for each other, if they don't enjoy being with each other, then that's what's modeled for their kids. Our kids don't learn what we tell them. They learn what they observe, what's modeled for them. And children pick up on everything, even if it's subtle. So if parents aren't modeling loving, affectionate, supportive relationship, then is that the kind of relationship that they want the kids to have when they grow up? Unlikely. We need to model healthy relationships in whatever form that is, married or otherwise. So if the trajectory of a couple's relationship is going down and they've done everything that they can to try and repair, and if the relationship's getting toxic and they decide to exit the relationship or shift it, then they need to navigate that process in a healthy, respectful way. Both parents need to put their egos aside, prioritize their children, and be respectful towards everyone involved, because especially if you have children, you're going to be in each other's lives as co-parents forever, or at least until children are done school. Splitting up doesn't need to be an acrimonious, bitter, vicious process. It can be done in a more mindful, respectful, healthy way. Now, I'm not saying that breaking up is good, but we have an over 50% divorce rate in North America right now. So a lot of people are navigating this process, and it needs to be navigated more mindfully. From a mindfulness perspective, relationships, all relationships, are opportunities to learn and grow. A beautiful quote, that people are in our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I'll say that again. People are in our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. From a mindfulness perspective, all relationships are steps along our path, the chapters in our life. And I think part of our suffering comes because we hold tight to the idea that relationships are good. Breaking up is bad. Being alone is sad. Being alone can be amazing. Some of the happiest people I know are single. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. In fact, you can be in a relationship and still be extremely lonely. Being in a relationship is not the precursor for happiness. Being in a healthy relationship with yourself is the precursor for happiness. Another myth that I'd like to address is the Hollywood image of relationships, or the Disney fairy tale. I love the movie Jerry Maguire, but that line, "You complete me," is very disempowering. If your joy is tied up in someone or something external to you, be it a relationship, a job, anything, then if that thing or person shifts or leaves, then your joy goes with it. Part of your identity is lost. We don't want to give anyone or anything the power to dictate our happiness and our peace. You are the source of your joy and peace. It's not fair to ask someone else to complete us. We are whole, complete, and perfectly imperfect ourselves. We don't want to be looking for someone else to heal us or fill a void. If you're your own source of peace and joy and love, then you're free to offer peace and joy and love and support in a healthy way to another person. Two people can enhance each other without being codependent or needing each other. We want to choose to be together as two complete, whole individuals. And then we're going to work to make the relationship felt safe for both parties in a respectful and healthy way, because we want to be together, not because you need to be together. And then you can create something that's greater than both of you. On the heels of "you complete me," there's also the misconception or myth of looking for the one, or "you are my everything." From a mindfulness perspective, that is a lot of pressure to put on one person. You can't expect one human to fulfill all your relationship needs. It's vital to have other relationships, not just intimate partnerships. Other relationships fill our relationship bucket. Strong friendships are vital. Even smaller relationships or interactions like your connection with the grocery store clerk. That's an opportunity. From a mindfulness perspective, every relationship is valuable. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn how to connect with other humans. We're all connected, regardless of your religious or spiritual beliefs. We're all connected on this planet. We think of ourselves as individuals, but we aren't. We're 40 trillion cells in a human body, a human meat suit, all the cells working together harmoniously. We aren't even individuals. We are a collective, and then we're part of a larger collective. So every interaction is an opportunity to build your relationship muscles. When I'm working with clients who want to start dating, I often encourage them to be more present with their friends in order to improve their communication and connection skills. Because interacting with friends is a safe way to build our interpersonal skills, which translates into better connection skills when we have the opportunity to be with a potential partner. The fourth myth or misconception that I want to address is that someone else is going to fix your stuff, your issues. Now, you may be able to heal within the constructs of a relationship with the support of someone else, but no one else is going to do the healing work for you. And what I mean by this is that we all come to relationships with our bag of stuff. And trauma, we all have it. It can be big T trauma or small T trauma. Big T trauma being something like abuse, or small T trauma being something like constant criticism. All of our past experiences feed into our bag of stuff. Every relationship, every interaction that we have, particularly the traumatic ones, make an impression on us, and then we put that into our bag of stuff. And some of the other episodes on this Single on Purpose podcast series do a beautiful job of delving deeper into trauma and how it appears in relationships. I'm just going to say very, very top line, we all see things through the lens of our past experiences. A great quote is, we all see things the way, not as they are, but the way we are. So we all see things not as they are, but as we are. And with that, just bear with me for a moment. I'm just going to very briefly explain some neuroscience. I'm just going to explain how we have two minds, our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, because it plays into the way that we enter into relationships. If you imagine that there's two partners who are looking at the same bowl of fruit, and let's say, for example, one partner grew up in an impoverished country, they're looking at the bowl of fruit with gratitude. They're so grateful for this bowl of fruit because they didn't have bowls of fruit growing up. The other partner grew up in a more affluent environment, but their parents were really strict about not wasting food. So they're looking at this bowl of fruit and it's bringing up anxiety for them because they're thinking, how am I going to use up all this fruit before it goes bad? Oh, okay, so I'll make some smoothies, but I don't have time to make smoothies. So there's two partners looking at exactly the same thing and yet having completely different dialogues going on in their minds. And this is because through our five senses, in every moment, we have the opportunity to take in about 11 million pieces of information. But our conscious mind can only process 40 pieces of information. So the two partners in the scenario looking at the bowl of fruit, their 40 pieces that they're taking in are completely different. In fact, it's kind of shocking that we get along at all. Again, we see things as we are, not as they are. So how this applies to relationships is that at the beginning of your relationship, you're using your conscious mind to learn all about your partner, how they smell, how they taste, what they like, what they don't like. You're listening to them, you're paying attention to them, you're very, as we say in the mindfulness world, present with them. Almost like you were learning how to drive a car. You're completely focused on everything that you're doing. But like learning to drive a car or ride a bike or walk, eventually we start to turn that task over to our subconscious mind. We start to automate driving a car or riding a bike or walking. And we do that same thing with our partner. So at the beginning, you're learning your partner, you're very engaged, you're very present with your partner. We call it the honeymoon phase. Now, legitimately, you're also on drugs in the honeymoon phase. Your body's being flooded with dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, estrogen, testosterone, norepinephrine, vasopressin. But then 6 weeks, 6 months into the relationship, different for everyone, you start to automate the relationship. Just like when you become proficient at riding a bike or driving a car. And that's when everything becomes filtered through the lens of our past. And this is maybe when arguments start to creep in, particularly when we're under stress. We tend to even shut off our conscious mind and play everything through our subconscious. So when your partner looks at you in a certain way, and all of a sudden you get this flash of anxiety and you think, oh my gosh, he's going to leave me. I've seen that look before. That was the look that my last boyfriend gave me right before he left me. This is where the work comes in. Mindfulness and meditation teach us awareness. Mindful awareness is key because it allows us, especially in a stressful situation, to pause between the stimulus and the response so that you're responding rather than reacting. So when he looks at you a certain way, instead of freaking out, you might pause and think, maybe he just has an eyelash in his eye. Mindfulness also trains us to have the awareness to be able to observe our own behavior and think, okay, where is this anxiety coming up from for me? And it trains us to be compassionate for our partner's behavior. Where might this be coming from for him? Is it because, is this stress or this anger on his part coming because he was emotionally abandoned by his parent? Is it because her ex-husband used to criticize her constantly? So awareness of self is huge, and awareness of our thoughts, meditation and mindfulness teach us this, awareness of our actions, awareness of our patterns, awareness of our baggage. And if you're doing this work and you want to try to build the habits before the stress comes in, so that we learn the tools before the argument, so that our stress response is, so that our response rather than reaction is habituated. Our awareness is habituated. It's automated. Because under stress, we aren't thinking with our conscious mind. So I'm going to try to do the work as early on as possible if you want to move forward in a healthy and respectful relationship. Now, arguments aren't the enemy. Arguments are inevitable. It's how we navigate them and how we repair and how much self-awareness we have that affect the health of our relationships. So if you are exiting a relationship, if you've gone through a breakup, if you're splitting up, don't just throw blame at your ex or sit in victim mode. If you're exiting a relationship, do it with mindful respect and compassion for everyone involved. Under stress, a breakup can cause many adults to start behaving very immaturely and aggressively, bitterly, angrily towards their ex-partner. And especially if there are kids involved, we want to do everything we can so that the breakup doesn't turn ugly. I got into this work to help people navigate this stressful situation in a more respectful and mindful way so that they can heal they can establish a healthy, new, different relationship with their ex and anyone else who comes into their family unit. And especially so that kids have a safe space to process this stage and ultimately thrive in their new family dynamic. So if you exit a relationship, my suggestion is don't rush into another relationship. Instead, just take a beat. Just take time to process and do the work. Heal some of your trauma. Explore your old habits and patterns so that you don't repeat the same patterns in the next relationship. Take some time to do some work on yourself. Breakups can actually be a beautiful opportunity for self-development and healing. And then, if you desire, you can mindfully and consciously move into a healthy, aligned relationship. And with that, we're going to end this podcast with a brief meditation. Please don't focus on trying to do it right. Whatever you're doing, that's right. You can do it seated, laying down, walking. If you want, you can close your eyes. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, just soften your gaze. And of course, if you're driving, please keep your eyes open. For the next couple of minutes, there's nowhere you need to be except here, listening to the sound of my voice. And let yourself just take this break, relax, and follow my words. To start, simply notice your breathing. Notice your breath as it comes in and out of your body. Breathe in through your nose. And as you breathe out through your nose or mouth, whichever feels most comfortable for you, allow your forehead, jaw, and shoulders to soften. Your mind might begin to wander. You might feel distracted by thoughts or sounds, and that's totally normal. If thoughts come up, notice them, and instead of following your thoughts, simply return your focus to your breathing. And begin to pay attention to the way your breath travels in, fills your lungs, and notice as it travels back out of your body. Sometimes it helps to place your hand on your chest or your stomach. Notice how your body moves as you breathe in and out. And focus on the natural rhythm of your breath. And you might find that your breathing has slowed down a bit. If your mind is wandering or if you become distracted, and don't get frustrated. Just notice the thoughts that come up and then simply return your focus to your breathing. And now take a mental scan of your body from your head to your toe. As you travel down your body, if you notice any parts that feel tight or tense, imagine a softening in that area, with each exhalation. Breathe and relax. Your mind may continue bringing up thoughts. Simply notice them and resist the urge to attach weight to them or to follow the dialogue. Instead, acknowledge your thoughts and then imagine your mind releasing them, just as you exhale the breath out of your body. Take one more deep breath and gently open your eyes. As you bring your attention back to the here and now, simply notice if you feel a bit calmer or more relaxed, if you feel more in tune with the rhythms of your body. As you move through your day or evening, Simply focusing on your breathing can help bring you back to a calmer, more peaceful place. Thank you for meditating with me, and thank you for joining me and listening to this podcast.
I hope that episode was helpful. Hey, listen, if you want to share your singlehood journey, if you've gone somewhere and come back, if you have revelations and wisdom, please share your story. It's going to help other people. Nothing makes us feel more connected than hearing other people's stories. So just send me the audio of your story, and you could just record it directly from your phone and email it to theangrytherapist@gmail.com. Also, if you want our Single on Purpose newsletter, go to singleonpurpose.life. That's singleonpurpose.life. You will get tools and articles and other people's stories, and also Zoom links to private gathers. So if you want to join our community, go to singleonpurpose.life. Thank you for listening. Be well. We hope you tell a friend.
So I have 5 children. I have 5 little ones, 15, 13. The twins are 5 years old, and baby girl will be 3 in March. Initially, I had my 2 boys, and I ended up in this relationship that was sort of, this man had come into my life, and I was like, no, I'm not looking for anybody. I'm not interested. I knew that I was hurting pretty badly. I had resigned from a job that I loved. I had been struggling with Lyme disease for years, and I knew that that was connected to trauma, the different things that I was navigating, that there was a lot of unresolved trauma growing up on the reservation, and experiencing life as I knew it. I had things to unlearn, and I had spaces and places to heal. But I ended up listening to these words, and it was proposed as this beautiful thing that I thought, wow, this would be really cool. Like a relationship, share my world with someone from our world, like as a Native woman, seems like a great father. He had 2 kids of his own. I had 2 of mine. Everything that was proposed just was pretty enticing, sounded great. It was one of those things that, was maybe too good to be true. And that crossed my mind. They say when it's too good to be true, it probably is. And there were several mantras that I had followed throughout my life, things that stuck with me that popped up. And I ignored them, and I listened to his words. And that got me into a pretty dark space, a pretty interesting place where I was pretty low, but my love for my children won. And I made it my mission to not have that be the life for them. And it was very hard. I had twins for my ex, and then I ended up pregnant with our little one, and it was something that I was not trying to do. We did not survive the first pregnancy. Why would we bring another? I mean, this is crazy. Children deserve to be loved. I feel all this hurt. I'm not trying to bring people into a hurt world as a hurt person. And so I made it my mission to get out before my baby was born. And I did that. I did pretty much army crawled out of there. Not really. I mean, I was moving with my 4 children, 9 months pregnant. I got out 2 weeks before COVID hit. 2 weeks before she was delivered, before I birthed her on top of the mountain, and COVID had just hit. It was March 15th, 2020. And I, did what I could for my children. I was working full-time from home, teaching 4 kids from home, distance learning in a rural area with no service, with minimal access to service and resources, and an infant. And after 10 months, I relocated to a new state, and I'm now living in a big city with 5 children. And there's often times like today where I'm sitting here like, wow, I would never imagine that I would have been a single mother of 5 children. I'm doing it, and I think it's something that I definitely can confidently say I'm single on purpose. I am on my healing journey. I know healing is a lifetime thing, but there's so much that was shown to me in that darkness, things that had popped up before that I just didn't know how to see. And now I can feel things that are ready to be healed, and I'm actively participating in that. And I hope to be creating decent human beings who are also able to understand that we're in a world where we can love despite the hate, where we can be light within the darkness, and where we know that we are deserving of love and good things. And hopefully we can all work towards that. And I look forward to someday, meeting the man of my dreams, and us being accepted by him, and him being accepted by us and me. And yeah, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to the future. And that's something that I never felt in those years of darkness. I am looking forward to the future. I have overcome so much, and I am learning and healing and unlearning every single day, all while raising 5 children. This is crazy, but I am single on purpose, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Så det